Good evening. We begin tonight in San Francisco, where a federal judge has issued a temporary but significant block against the Trump administration's plan to furlough thousands of federal workers amid the ongoing government shutdown. U.S. District Court Judge Susan Ilston granted a temporary restraining order sought by a coalition of labor unions. The unions argued in court that the planned layoffs, formerly known as a reduction in force, were unlawful. In her ruling, Judge Ilston, a Clinton appointee, ordered the administration to halt the issuance of any reduction in force notices to federal employees in any government program or activity. This order provides a temporary shield for all union members represented in the lawsuit. The judge used strong language in her decision, stating that the evidence suggests the Office of Management and Budget and the Office of Personnel Management have, quote, taken advantage of the lapse in government spending function to assume all bets are off and that the laws don't apply to them. She further characterized the administration's actions as, quote, illegal and in excess of authority and is arbitrary and capricious. The ruling comes as the shutdown enters its third week. According to a court filing from the Office of Management and Budget, the impact was already being felt, as more than 4,000 government workers had already received reduction in force notices. This temporary restraining order will pause any further layoffs while the legal challenge proceeds through the courts, offering a brief reprieve to workers who were facing job loss on top of missed paychecks. While some federal workers face that uncertainty, there is some relief tonight for U.S. military personnel. President Donald Trump has taken executive action to ensure service members continue to be paid during the shutdown. Yesterday, October 15th, was the date many troops were set to miss their first paycheck since the government shut down at the beginning of the month. In response, the president issued a new memorandum directing the Pentagon to use its available funds to continue paying all U.S. military personnel. This move bypasses the current legislative stalemate, as Congress has so far failed to pass either an annual appropriation or a short-term continuing resolution needed to fund the federal government and end the shutdown. The president had pledged over the weekend to take steps to prevent troops from going without pay, and this memorandum fulfills that promise. The measure is a critical stopgap aimed at maintaining morale and providing financial stability for service members and their families who depend on their regular income. It underscores the wide-ranging consequences of the budget impasse in Washington, forcing the executive branch to find alternative ways to fund essential functions, particularly the nation's defense and the welfare of its uniformed personnel. The funding for military pay will now continue, at least for the immediate future, regardless of how long it takes for lawmakers to reach a broader agreement to reopen the government. For another large group of Americans, the nation's seniors and disabled citizens, their primary source of income also remains secure for now. The Social Security Administration has assured its nearly 70 million beneficiaries that their monthly checks will continue to arrive on schedule. This includes both Social Security retirement and disability benefits, as well as supplemental security income, or SSI payments. These benefits are protected from government shutdowns because their funding does not come from the annual appropriations process that is currently stalled in Congress. Instead, they are paid out of permanent trust funds, which are legally separate and insulated from such budget battles. However, while the checks themselves will keep coming, a prolonged shutdown could still create significant hardship for millions of people. The Social Security Administration has warned that many of its other crucial functions are already slowing down. This includes the processing of new applications for benefits, the handling of appeals for those who have been denied, the review of medical evidence for disability claims, and the availability of in-person assistance at local field offices. If the shutdown stretches further into October or November, the backlogs for these services are expected to grow substantially. This could leave new retirees, recently disabled individuals, and those appealing decisions in a difficult limbo, unable to get the services they need even as the core payment system continues to function. The longer the shutdown lasts, the greater the strain will be on the administration's ability to serve the public beyond simply mailing checks. Shifting from the budget battle in Washington, federal authorities are reporting on a major law enforcement operation in the nation's heartland. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has announced the arrest of 120 illegal immigrants across Oklahoma. A striking detail from the operation is that at least 91 of those arrested held a commercial driver's license, or CDL, and were actively operating commercial motor vehicles at the time they were encountered. The arrests were the result of a coordinated 3-day operation conducted in September along the heavily trafficked Interstate 40 corridor. ICE officials stated that they worked in close partnership with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. The operation's methodology involved state troopers conducting traffic enforcement, making approximately 520 contacts with various drivers. When a trooper encountered a foreign-born individual, ICE agents on the scene would then perform investigations into their records and immigration status. According to an ICE statement, the goal of the joint effort was, quote, to disrupt criminal activity and threats to public safety through vigorous traffic enforcement. The high number of commercial drivers arrested has raised public safety concerns about the security and integrity of the licensing process for operating large trucks and other heavy vehicles on the nation's highways. The 120 individuals who were detained are now facing proceedings for immigration-related offenses. Finally, from domestic enforcement, we turn to U.S. foreign policy and a potential new phase in the fight against international drug trafficking. President Donald Trump said yesterday that his administration is now considering land-based strikes that would target drug cartels operating inside Venezuela. This announcement signals a possible escalation of a campaign that has, until now, been focused on maritime interdiction. During a press conference alongside FBI Director Kash Patel, the president stated that U.S. military efforts have, quote, almost totally stopped Venezuelan drug trafficking by sea. He then added, now we'll stop it by land. The president was clear about the potential shift in strategy, saying, we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. This statement comes just one day after U.S. forces conducted their 5th strike on drug trafficking boats off the coast of Venezuela. According to the administration, that latest operation resulted in the deaths of 6 men who were suspected of being narco-traffickers. A move toward land-based operations would represent a significant change in tactics, moving from intercepting shipments in international waters to potentially conducting direct military action on foreign soil. Such a strategy would carry complex diplomatic and military implications as the administration continues its pressure campaign against criminal networks in the region.